Guys, it's Monica and welcome back. Yes, I am back so soon to make a fall swirl glitter tumbler. And so what you probably don't know is years ago I made a fall swirl tumbler, and that is literally one of my top 3 favorite tumblers of all time. And so I just thought it was time for a refresh using new glitter. So that's what I'm doing. And so first I'm going to mix some acrylic paint and some Mod Podge. This is just like the cheap 69-cent paint, because what you'll see, the tumbler I'm actually using a sublimation tumbler that I painted with one layer of white acrylic paint, and it's kind of just been sitting on my shelf. Let me tell you something. When them sublimation tumblers don't work out, baby, turn those into glitter tumblers. Like, don't let them tumblers go to waste. Don't be like me and watch hours of videos on how to remove a sublimation design just for them to say that, oh, really all you can do is sublimate a design darker than that. F all that. Baby, I can glitter this, okay? And so that's what I'm doing. So that is a sublimation tumbler. The only downside I would say with sublimation tumblers is that they have that flat edge on the bottom. So I don't, though, like, you have to be really, I don't want to say you have to be really good at epoxying, but you just have to really kind of know what you're doing to make sure that you can get that edge good and that it's covered good. But other than that, yeah, if some sublimation tumblers don't work out, baby, always go home. Go home to glitter, okay? And so I'm just getting that on there on a nice layer. And I don't know if I've ever even used the brown, but because I'm doing fall and it's going to be like rich, I wanted to use those colors. And so we have 3 new hollows that we came out with for our fall collection. You can check those out over at PeriodSixDesigns.com. So this one is Golden Sunrise. The next one is going to be Oh Gourd. Like, y'all get the joke. And then the last one is the brown one's going to be Hot Chocolate. So yeah, as far as swirling goes, I always tell people the hardest line to get down is that first one. So my goal usually, especially when I'm only doing 3 colors, I know I'm going to go around twice, is that first line. I want the bottom where I end at to be in the same position on the tumbler as the top, if that makes sense. So when I turn the cup around where I started the line, if I look up, that's where my line is going to end on the bottom. And so that'll give me like 2 good rotations around. Laying down the first line is the hardest. Once you get that first line laid down, you literally just continue to follow it for the next however many glitters that you're doing. Usually 6 is about a good number. It's really easy to eyeball 6. It's when you start getting into more or less than 6 is when you gotta like get creative and kind of be like one color may be bigger than the other kind of thing. But I've always found 6 fits really good and it looks really good on the tumbler. So you can either do all different colors, all same colors, it's up to you. But that's what it looks like after 1 layer of glitter. So let that dry for an hour and then I'm going to come back. And so this didn't really need 2 layers, but I tell y'all all the time, I just cannot get away from doing 2 layers glitter. I don't know why, but like I just can't not do 2 layers of glitter. So that is what I'm doing. And you're probably like, can you see? Barely. I could barely see through that Mod Podge. I had put it on there so thick at first. I said, oh, I got to thin this out a little bit because I cannot see. And so now I'm just doing another layer. And I always do the bottoms off camera, but they do get done. And then literally just the same thing. And I'm just following the pattern underneath. Like, if you're doing like lighter colors, you can create some really cool dimension when you do 2 layers. And with your second layer, like with the overlapping and potentially like adding like 1 new color and kind of shifting. But for this, we don't get all that because these colors are pretty opaque. You can't really see through them. So you don't really get that same effect as you would with some lighter colors if you were to do this. And so, yeah, also I want to do put a little chunky in there. Cause I'm like, oh, just give it a little extra texture. And so I'm using some of this Spice Pumpkin, also a new color. It's like a really rich, orangey, holographic. And then I had this other color. I'm not going to mention it because I didn't like how it looked. And then on the top, I was using the haystack. I ended up really liking how the haystack looked. And so I went balls to the wall with that one and put some colorful little lines for that one. And this one, you can do these. You can exclude these. You can do them as like thick as you want, as thin as you want to, just do like a little finger sprinkle like how I started with. That'll look cute too. Or you can do like thicker, more full lines like you see me doing with the paintbrush. And then just like dumping it on there completely. So from that point, I just kind of decided I'm going to go with these 2, with the haystack and the Spice Pumpkin. And I kind of just put those wherever my heart felt. Remember, y'all, glittering is about what our heart feels. It's not about nothing else. And so that's what I'm working with. I loved how that looked. And so let that dry again for another hour. And now we're going to go ahead and seal the glitter. I double sealed this one because those chunky glitters, of course, they lay up a little higher than the fine glitter layer. And so just to make sure that all those are flat and that they're sealed in. And I don't know why I'm acting like a maniac, knocking all that glitter off. But I'm sealing with polyacrylic. I'll leave a link to everything below. If I forget to link something, y'all are always really good about reminding me. So I appreciate that. So yeah, polyacrylic to seal. You can use Mod Podge to seal. I've used Bright Tone to seal. Everything but going to the epoxy yet. But yeah, no technique on this. Just get it on there. It doesn't need to be like super thick. It doesn't need to be super milky. You're not trying to like build layers up, but you definitely want to make sure like it's coating it. And like I said, I'm doing 2 coats, so it definitely didn't need to be like I was doing like Hyperion. So let that dry. And I made this tumbler over a couple of days. I'm going in with the Hog Speed epoxy. This is my new favorite epoxy. I've really been loving the Hog Speed. I think it works really well. It doesn't have a lot of bubbles. It's super easy to work with. It doesn't really heat up too much under your hand, so it has good work life. And so, yeah. I don't know why I started going in doing this epoxy. Like, I didn't know what the heck I was doing. Like, I was trying to remember, like, dang, when is the last time I epoxied a cup? Because why do I act like I'm on crack? Like, I don't understand. Okay, so I'm going to do a little bit of marbling. You're like, oh, I probably don't need no marble. I don't know. I'm a lover. I feel like white marbling goes with everything. And so I was like, I got to have some white marble on it. And so what I'm doing is I'm putting a thin layer of epoxy down on the cup. And then what you'll also see me do is mix up what I'm going to use for my swirl. I wanted to do a gold and a white swirl. That might have been overkill. That's why the Lord messed up my epoxy. And I'll show that in a minute. So we end up just only doing white, but I'm still happy with the results. So a thin layer, you want to get that going, get that moving. I did hit it with a little bit of heat, not a bunch, 1 rotation, y'all. Don't be going overboard. You're not trying to burn down the house. God dang it. And so let that spin for like, because we're doing hogs, like we're doing a quick epoxy, you don't want to like, normally I'd be like, oh, let that spin for like 5-10 minutes and then come back and do your swirl. But because of the type of epoxy we're using, baby, let it spin for about 60 seconds, maybe 120, and we're going to go ahead and get into it. So when I went to go do the gold, it immediately did this, which let me know that it was way too much acrylic paint in the epoxy, and it immediately started seizing up. And so that was unusable. And so I set it to the side. I'm like, maybe I'm tripping. I'll come back to it, but my white looks good. Let me go ahead and get my white on here. And so it may look like it has like a little bit of texture like when you're mixing it, but as long as it's not like gunky or gooky, you're good. And so I literally just I've gotten a lot more carefree with how I be swirling, because I've also learned that if I don't like where the swirl is going, baby, I'm going to just wipe it off, okay? Really quick. Y'all see how that's seized up and it looks like slime? Completely unusable. Do not put that on your cup. It's not going to cure right. And so you can see I'm like, went a little overboard. I'm going to just wipe these off. Also, a suggestion that when you wipe it off, make sure you're wiping it clean so you don't leave a trail. So you're kind of pressing into it. But the problem is when you do that, you're wiping off like the base coat of epoxy you put on. So you also might want to go back and just drop a little bit of your clear epoxy in those spots just to make sure that you're covered. It's self-leveling, so it's going to cover some, but you'll notice it may be thinner in those spots when it completely dries. So just a little tip on that. I heat those up, and then I use my stick to work it, make sure it's going in directions I want to go, and I let it spin. And that is what it looks like. I was like, yep, this is what I'm going for. This is what we want. But you see I got that random ass spot. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to use a DTF because like that swirl ain't swirling, baby. That swirl is spotting. And so this one says pumpkin spice and all things nice. We have like over 40 new fall Halloween UV DTFs that you can look at, check out over on PeriodSixDesigns.com. Y'all know I always got to plug my business. I feel like all the girlies that I came into the game with are gone. Like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know who anybody is, because y'all know I be minding my business a little too deep out here in the mountains that I be disconnected. I just go look for people to see what they up to, baby, and they closed. I was like, oh, okay, like no shade to those people, but like that's why I always tell people, don't quit your day job, because you just never know what can happen with the economy. If you got a job with job security, health insurance, and a 401k, while this extra side business is nice, when it don't go well, and I think we can all agree 2024 has been rough on a lot of small business owners, like my lifestyle didn't change because I have a nice job that pays me well, that pays all my bills, and I've never lived above my means. But it's just so sad to see people going out of business, and that has nothing to do with the video. I just literally went on a rant. But yeah, if you're able to, I would love it for you to support my business. So we're going to be having a sale this weekend for our anniversary because we made it to 4 years. Hallelujah. So yeah, keep us in mind. You should be on there. It goes out. It's gonna go out via email first, and then usually I notify social media like a day later. So FYI, I had a little bubble hole in my DTF, and so I just used a little stick thing to flatten that out. Only do this if you're really good. My supplier has gotten a lot softer with the DTF, so it's a lot more flexible. So that's actually a good thing. Really strong adhesive, but you can still pop those bubbles in the event that you get a bubble in there. Bubbles happen. They're not completely unavoidable. It is what it is. I don't know why I sealed this in. You don't really need to seal UV DTF for the simple fact that that adhesive on the back is so strong. I just don't see anything happening, but I'm always cautious and just, it's better to seal than not to seal. You know what I'm saying? And so one last layer of epoxy, get it on there good. And same epoxy, the hog speed. For, somebody's going to ask, for this layer, 20 mils, 10 to each side. The previous layer, 30, because the base layer plus the split off between what I used for the swirls. And this is what it looks like. So I'm really happy with this. I love it. I think it looks great. I think the pink pops up off of these colors really nice. So comments, questions, leave them below. Like I said, check out our website, PeriodSixGlitter.com. Follow us on socials all over, PeriodSixDesigns. And let me know what you want to see next in the comments. I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one.